Welcome to the Wealthwise Show, where financial wisdom meets the road to prosperity. Get ready to embark on a journey to make wise financial decisions and unlock the secrets to building lasting wealth. I'm your host, the Wise Investor, and just as a disclaimer, go get some compliance out the way. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. It is not intended to be tailored personal advice, because I don't give personal advice on the internet. So keep that in mind as you continue to listen to this podcast. That is for educational purposes only. And if you hear a product like a service or a company, anything like that, I'm not endorsing them unless they're sponsoring the show. Well, then it's an endorsement. So just keep that in mind as you get into today's episode of the Wealthwise Show. Alrighty, guys, welcome to another episode of the Wealthwise Show. I appreciate this episode 18, and I'm going to jump right into it with first get some housekeeping out of the way. I know you guys heard it in the intro. It's a new intro. I made it in 5 minutes, so I think that was pretty great. I just want to say that. But also, compliance. This is for information. This podcast, anything I say, is for information, educational purposes only. Any products I might mention, any companies I might mention, any services I may mention are for educational purposes only. They're not endorsements. They're not me trying to entice you to go buy these things or sell these things. These are just my personal opinions a lot of time if I'm talking about a company, but I try to stay away from that. So you probably won't hear my personal opinions on a lot of these things. But if I happen to slip up one of these days, just know that's my personal opinion. And, don't listen to me. Unless I'm just giving you informational purposes. Then, listen to that. Actually, just forget I said that. Just listen regardless. Anyway, let's get into today's episode 18. Something simple. Should be a short and sweet episode. I know I've talked a lot about people who have, like, especially retirees when they're retiring with, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, $500,000, $1 million. Those are large numbers. I've said in a previous episode that, a lot of money to me is anything over $1. So I want to talk about, starting, let's shrink that back some. If I was 20 years old working for a pressure washer and a window cleaner, or carpet cleaning, I did those things. I actually own the carpet cleaning business, but that's a different story. What would I do? How can I invest $1,000? How can I start small, essentially? Like, what would it take for me to start my investing journey? So that is what I want to talk about today. There's several ways you can build your portfolio by starting out with investing $1,000. Now, I'm saying 1,000 because it's a round number. It's an easy number to talk about, easy number to say. I have a speech impediment, so I can get tongue-tied really quickly. So $1,000 is easy for me. But we can deal with $100, $10, $1. Because like I said, anything more than $1 is a lot of money. So let's talk about that. So the concept of investing is very simple. You're using your hard-earned money or your hard-earned income to make more money without you having to go make it yourself. So when you go out to work every day, every morning or every afternoon or every night, you're making money. Now, when you take that money and you put it into an investment vehicle, what happens is that money is now making you money. So while you go out and work and make money, your investments are making money. So now you're you're multiplying how much money you're making per hour. So that's why investing is important, and having a solid understanding of that is important, because you can start investing with a lot of money, like $1. So let's talk about, building a solid portfolio over time. So, thing about investing is a long term game. I know people don't like long term, but it is, because investing takes time. Everyone wants quickly. We're in this age where, I want an answer. I can ask Google and I'll know the answer in less than a second. I can be the smartest person in the room with all these random facts in 5 minutes just by talking to Google. And I get it. That's really convenient, really good at house parties, and, high school reunions. But it takes time to really build an investment portfolio that can sustain the lifestyle that you want. It takes time. So that's why the earlier, the better. And that's why I'm talking to a young, wise investor who is not so wise because he's young. But here, the older wise investor, is going to help him get some wisdom. So building a great, solid investment portfolio does take time. But the goal is to do it automatically, do it subconsciously, do it like you're got to go to work every day. That way, by the time you really wake up and you start looking, you're like, oh man, look what I've built over time. And the main way you can really do it without looking into your investment account is not being in debt. Simple as that. Being in debt can really make it hard for people to invest, because if I owe someone, I got a clock on me now. And every time that clock strikes zero every month because I got to pay them their premium and interest, it drives me insane. And therefore, the money that I'm like, oh man, I could put this money to investing, I say, no, I can't because I got to pay this. Or I do put into investing and not paying my debt, and they take my investment money anyways when they come to collect. So understanding, keeping debt low. And I'm not just talking about, life debt, like, well, not life, but a mortgage and car note and things like that. I ain't talking about large loans like that. I'm talking about more like things that you can actually control. I mean, technically you can't control your auto and mortgage, but I'm talking about spending. So, your credit cards, personal loans, even loans that you got from your uncle, your cousin, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister. Just stop borrowing money from people, essentially. So I know credit cards are nice and they're very useful. They have their place. I'm going to make an episode on credit cards eventually, just not right now. But you, as a young person, should understand that credit cards are at a young age like that is literally only meant to help build your credit. You shouldn't be using it to sustain your lifestyle. You should be only using it to help build your credit. So buying things that you have the money for, that you can pay off that debt every month, like gas, food, and you're not overspending, that's going to help build your credit and keep you out of debt. And now that money that you don't need to spend on that interest payment as well as the principal, well, you can put that money to work for you so you can make more money. So I talked about this next point, I don't know, it was a couple episodes ago, but about the different stages of investment options. So you got your low risk and your high risk. So you got your low risk debt instruments. What? Debt? Well, if you've been listening to me all this time, you should know bonds is considered debt. But you're buying someone else's debt. So, be on that end, not the other end. And higher risk, investment instruments like stocks and things like that. So make sure, like I said, pay down your debt. And another thing that I'm going to put on my fiduciary hat and talk about, a savings account. Make sure you have an emergency savings fund, once again, the point of investing is to make it stress-free. If you have to dip into your investment account every time something comes up, you're not really doing anything. So making sure you pay down your debt, have low debt, and have a emergency fund is going to help you keep that investment money in there so they can keep working. Because you don't want to have to stop your workers from working to go take care of something personal, because to get it back rolling again, to get it back, your money built back up to work, that's going to give you add more time to your time horizon for whatever you want the investments for. So making sure you have a safety net for unexpected expenses is really important. So emergency fund, lowering debt. You can do a savings account or a money market account. Money market accounts are not bad right now. So if you want to throw some money in a money market account as emergency fund, you'll get a little something when it comes to interest on that. And then, all right, so now you got your debt lowered, you got your emergency fund, what to invest in. I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again. It's simple. So let me tell you about a certain company, a very old company, one of the best companies in the world. I know you're going to think, oh, he's going to talk about Apple. No, I'm going to talk about Standard & Poor's. Standard & Poor's is probably one of the best companies in the, actually, let me not say that because this is recorded. Standard & Poor's might be one of the best companies in the world. And the reason why I say that is because they have the S&P 500 index. And the S&P 500 index is probably the best investment strategy in existence. You just take 500 of the best companies and you invest in them. And then when they stop performing, you kick them out and you put in new performers that are doing well. That is why a lot of people like myself who are in the industry, that's our benchmark. Like when a client comes to me and say pretty much, hey, invest my money. Well, I have to be on par with the S&P 500 or I have to beat the S&P 500. And beating the S&P 500 is really difficult. So the most we can possibly do is be on par with it. So, our little under is not too bad. But if you totally under the S&P 500, then you're not considered a good money manager because you can just go buy the S&P 500 indexes. But that's not saying don't use me. Please use me. I am saying that, the S&P 500 is a great index, and there's tons of ETFs that offer, low expense ratios and tracks the S&P 500. So you, in buying either a index fund, a mutual fund, or index ETF, that's low cost and make it automated when for your deposits, I guess, and buying your shares, make it automated. I talked about this last episode. M1 Finance, not a sponsor, not an endorsement, but I like them. Have a mix of different indexes, automatic, and it is one of the things where it just grows and it helps diversify because, like I said, the S&P 500 has 500 of the best companies in the world. And when one company is not doing great, they give them some time. They give them a market cycle, maybe 2 market cycles, depending. And if they're not doing well, they're out of here. And then within that market cycle or 2, they are looking for the next one to replace them with. So, they are typically great. Some ETFs do pay dividends, which is nice. And they're pretty much diversified. So if you have $1,000 or $100 or you just have a lot of money, $1, you can, get these low cost ETFs, index ETFs, and then just, keep it in there. But of course, talk to your financial advisors, your fiduciaries. This is just me talking to a younger version of me, and you're just happening to listen, and you're just eavesdropping. Rude. And you can use target date funds, but well, who cares about target date funds? You got robo advisors. Who cares about robots? Who cares about robots? Then you got the low risk debt instruments. All right, let's talk about that. I talk about bonds so much on these 17 episodes. I feel like I am becoming a bond, just not James. But that was a bad joke. Anywho, you can do low risk debt instruments, the U.S. Treasuries and things like that. I believe buying directly a U.S. Treasury is like $1,000, so that's going to be all your stuff, plus commission, if you're going through a broker. But you could do ETFs and debt instruments that offer you to purchase them through their ETF, their fund. And then you got single stocks, which I don't really like to talk. I'm not going to talk too much about putting a small amount of money into a single stock, because me personally, I don't think that's wise. Because you only have a little bit of money, and a single stock with a little bit of money is just not it for me. Maybe for you, but for me, not it. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. Yes, there's a lot of stuff that can go right, but having a basket of stocks, having that diversification and all that stuff, the rebalancing, it just seems to be, to me, a lot more smarter to do that. And I know that might not be a thing. Who put options on here? I'm looking at my show notes, and one of the things for someone with $1,000 is options and forex. If you don't get that out of here, listen, y'all. If you only got a little bit of money, or you got a lot of money, $1, please don't do no options. Do not trade. Educational purposes only. Do what you want. Doesn't matter to me. But as a wise investor, please don't trade options or forex or futures with a little bit of money, because you're just gonna give it to me. So making sure you have a balanced portfolio is nice. Like I said, ETFs, in particular index. So there are many different ways you can invest that $1,000 or that dollar or $100. But understand, because you only have a little bit, you have to be a lot more strategic. I said that. I had to enunciate it. But yes, you have to be really wise and smart when you only have a little bit of money, because you only have a little bit. And it can be easily taken away from you by professionals, and even some non-professionals who just picked a different direction to you. So understand that, when you're first starting out, having low debt, so you're not worried about and dipping into your investment account, having an emergency fund, so you're not dipping into your investment account, and continually dollar cost average. And this is stuff that I'm pretty sure you guys already know. It's very simple. Dollar cost average into a index, and let the professionals do the work for you. Essentially, that's all it is. When you put your money into a S&P 500 index ETF or mutual fund, you're just giving that money to professionals to manage it for you. And I think that's the wisest way to go. If you're trying to pick stocks, be a stock picker, and singly buy all these shares of different companies, if you're not doing this professionally, you're just wasting your time. And if you're doing it as a hobby, make sure it's not money that you need to pay the rent. So if you only have $1,000 and you really want to take investing serious, take your time, do the debt. Make sure you don't have a lot of it. Make sure you have an emergency fund. Take your time, and dollar cost average, meaning you're putting a certain amount of money regularly, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, into the market, buying a index ETF and letting that do its thing. So that's gonna be it, guys. Very simple. I kind of stretched it out a little bit, but and I skipped over some stuff that was dumb. Options, Forex with $1,000. Please, if I ever hear anyone ever come to me and say, "Sir, I only have $1,000. Do you have an options course?" I'm probably going to be rude. So I'm sorry to that person, but I will be rude. No, I'm just kidding. I really wouldn't care. It's your money. People play the lottery all the time. But I still don't recommend it. So that's it, guys. I appreciate another great episode, episode 18. We're almost to a milestone, which is episode 20. That's 20 episodes. That's 20 weeks. Eventually, it's going to be 24, and that's 24 weeks. And hopefully, I can keep this ball rolling. It's been great. I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you. Please subscribe, like, comment, follow on everywhere, wherever you listen to this podcast at. Thumbs up, 5-star it. I greatly appreciate that. If you are a sponsor or you want to be a sponsor, and you have like any investment products or investment softwares, I don't know. I have to talk to compliance and see if I can even say that. Hit me up anyways. So yeah, guys, thank you. I appreciate it. And until next time, stay Wealthwise. Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Simplicity Wealth and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Sub-advisory services are provided by Simplicity Solutions, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Any insurance, consulting, and education services offered through the Wealthwise Show. The Wealthwise Show is not affiliated with Simplicity Wealth and Simplicity Solutions.